think that
there was really like
smooth.
no panic at all. And
I think
I was only worried there for like 2 minutes. So I think as a group, like we handled it pretty well.
I agree.
One thing I would say about our group that I think that we can work on improving is trusting in each other. I feel like a lot of the different roles we had, it was like, okay, we're gonna have this group do this, we're gonna have this group do this, we're gonna have this group do this. But then it turned into, okay, well, you don't even look like you're doing, so I'm just gonna do your part. And then it was kind of like a crossover of people's roles, and it ended up, I think some people may have felt like, okay, well, what am I doing here right now? Like, I'm trying to help, but I don't
And some people
have
were overwhelmed by doing so much.
And exactly, other people that were doing way too much that shouldn't have been. Not that that was their fault, of course, take the initiative, but I think the other people that could have helped but didn't get the chance to because that trust wasn't established yet. Which maybe it's because we need to get to know each other a little bit better. I don't know.
And also, I think we.
Sorry. I was just saying, I don't think it's just the trust thing, though. I think it's also we really need to make the roles more defined.
That's what
I
I
feel
was
like
gonna
it's
say.
and I feel like without like a clear leader of the group, it was very like, oh, well, I don't know what this group is doing, and like I don't know if like this is done or if we can change that. Like there wasn't a lot of direction or
Like
coordination.
I personally didn't really know what my role was. I was pretty much like a guy who'd get on Facebook, say, does anyone need help today? And
I feel like in the amount of time we had that we needed to do that, because the groups had to work together, like the PowerPoint had to talk to the video people, so they were already together working on it, and with people's schedules, sometimes people just had this time to help out and they weren't going to have time later, so they wanted to go ahead and get somewhere and do something for the project. And I feel like that's how that happened pretty much.
Yeah, I just like want to say, like, as an interviewer, it would have been really helpful if like people had like left the interview group alone, and then they were like, we need interviews by this date, and then we had like a deadline, you know, like we had 2 days because we videotaped ours
As
and
soon
we
as we
did
knew
really
what we had
well.
to do, like we got it done like
Yeah,
I just think-
but that's because people had to tell us what to do. If we were our own group and we had those defined roles, people wouldn't have to tell us what to do, and we would do it by ourselves as long as we got it done by that date. But since we didn't have a date, we didn't have the defined roles. I mean, it was just like Maggie and I all of a sudden like we're like, we're interviewing now, and I think I had the idea of everyone on video, and then I was like shut down right away.
I think for the next project, we have to like actually spend time, because this we didn't spend time doing it. Like set aside 2 hours, whatever it is, and literally like detailed descriptions of what everyone has to do, and like for our marketing project, we did this like blank slide presentation where it's you have to give the teacher your PowerPoint blank, just with kind of like the main points that you're gonna hit, and you put on the bottom who's gonna do it and the due date, and that way that person knows that they are responsible for that by that day, and if they don't, like they screwed up, like it's your fault.
And that's a good way when you are doing the point thing, like if you know this person was supposed to do this and they didn't by this date, then that's something that you can physically look at. But I feel like right now, the way we're doing it, people were trying to help, but they didn't know how to help, and nobody would give them a task to do, either because they didn't trust them and they were too focused on only letting themselves do it, or they just were so overwhelmed that they didn't know where to begin telling people what to do. And so I think if we're more organized that way, and it would just be better for everybody.
I know my role was like group liaison, and like I think I could have done a better job doing that, but I felt like with all the Facebook posts and stuff, like there wasn't much more to cover. Like everybody's like, oh, we did this, like we need help with someone doing this, and I was like,
what do y'all think of like nominating like the next round, like people voting on like 2 people to like brainstorm the breakdown of what needs to be done, and then people can volunteer for what they want to do. Like we started to do that, but we didn't have any like.
We didn't have enough time.
So
we gotta outline what we gotta do.
I don't think we realized how important that was going to be.
That's why I think like this next time.
If you do that in the beginning, you actually save a lot of time in the end because putting it together.
I feel like the other thing we didn't really do is we didn't have like a final direction we were going towards. Like our presentation really like evolved as it was being made, and if we knew like the blank
what
slide
had to be
type of
done,
thing, like what had to be done, what the format was going to be, it would be a lot easier to like assign people to a project with a due date that wouldn't change.
Or like we picked like our theme in the beginning, like since we went with the newscaster type style. Like if we had known that, then it would have, I think, knowing those like big things that we were working towards, then
you need like a vision.
Easier. Yeah, we didn't have any vision. We just like had groups and then we left and then we didn't have no one to do.
We kind of started doing it, like, to give our groups some props. We did do that at our one meeting on Wednesday, but I think because we switched our group that we were going to do, it threw everything off.
And just the timing.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I think we
I feel
tried
like
to
things
do
are just
that.
not going to be perfect, and you just
Yeah,
got to be prepared for that.
I mean, I think you had to start somewhere, and we
Yeah, I
wouldn't have
mean,
known that,
Yeah.
you know, which things to work
Just
on.
give ourselves time to
Yeah.
shake it up.
I mean, I feel like in all we did a good job,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
given the time
Yeah.
and given.
I think
changing
that's
our
what this
group,
project
but-
is supposed to be, though. We're supposed to like learn about how to do presentations with our group, and like I think this was just like a learning experience.
And
So
the
then
next
I think
one's
for the
gonna be,
next
like,
one it's gonna be like really like how, not only how can dance line improve, but how did we improve
Right.
from the first presentation.
And I feel like we all know each other better now, too,
Yeah.
after having done
This was
that.
a-
That you know who's good at what, and you know how to distribute things better, that kind of stuff.
It's
I
just a
think-
good experience.
Another thing that I was thinking about what we could do, I don't know, maybe it's just me personally, but I feel like each one of us probably has something we could bring to this group, and I don't feel we really tapped into that this time around. Like, what is somebody best at, and how are they gonna best present it? It was kind of just like, okay, well, you can do
I
this,
thought
you
the
can just
script
throw that
people
on there.
though, like, cause they kind of volunteered for that, and I know like, you worked on script,
Yeah.
like the initial.
Alice.
I
Colette.
thought
Colette,
Colette,
yeah.
because y'all, I know Colette's worked on the script almost like every time we've done it.
Colette
but
is
so
really
Colette-
good at
I know
scripting.
Colette is good at like
Like really good.
Yeah.
doing
Right.
things like that, kind of giving.
Right, I definitely think we did to a certain extent. Put people, I just think there's some times when it was like, oh, well, maybe so and so who was, I feel like I could have given more to the group, but I didn't know how to, and I felt like where I felt like I would be best used, maybe I wasn't per se.
I think also we need to work on communication. Just because like the Facebook thing, I would go onto Facebook and like there'd be like 12 people
It's
who posted, and I was just like,
I would dread
what happened?
going on
Like I
Facebook,
don't.
just like look at the
Yeah, and
my
like people
inbox,
were
I wouldn't even
posting
touch it.
random things, so I think we need to work on like a better way of communicating with each other. Because also a lot of people don't check Facebook that much. I don't know.
I felt like that was good though, that there was all that conversation going on
No,
all the
conversation
time
is
with
great.
ideas coming out and people talking about when we're meeting and what we're doing, so that everybody could kind of have a general idea where the group was going. Without that, I feel like some person would just be sitting in their room doing work and nobody would know what was going on and nobody would know what direction it was going in.
I think the Facebook thing is great. I just think it needs to be like a more organized.
It needs to be more concise. Like people are being really repetitive on there, and it's like, okay, I've already gotten like 7 messages saying the same exact thing. Like,
I think what's good about the Facebook thing, and I haven't found any other type of communication like that, is that it's not like you get one message per time if someone says something. It like carries on and it just adds onto the same thread. Whereas like email, if we would all like click reply to all to emails, you'd get like 50 messages a day in your inbox. So that is such a
people
pro
also
on the
need to-
Facebook.
If you need to meet with someone though, call them. Don't Facebook message them and say we'll meet at this time. Like I know Abby had emailed me one and I didn't get it till like the next day. So like just call if you're trying to meet with someone. Don't message them about it. Just call them. Now that we have all the numbers on there.
Yeah, I think the groups are definitely a good thing. There's a lot of good information on there. The phone numbers and stuff. Yeah, that was really helpful when there was that fire in the comments and Maggie and I called everybody.
Coming over the comments, I was like, oh.
The fire.
That was really good to have all of the phone numbers on there.
Yeah, I really figured.
So should we do points?
Okay.
I think like everybody should go around and kind of say like how they felt like they did. So
Or I think we should talk about each person before we talk about how they did. I think maybe their idea of how they think the points system should work.
Yeah.
okay.
I don't know what are we doing in lab on Wednesday? I feel like
I think it's a debriefing session.
Yeah, I can tell you. It says.
But then we can use, since we're here.
No, I'm saying I want to like go over
Presentation.
how we're gonna do it. I just don't want.
We're building a tower.
Talk about
Tower building.
So they're not going to give us very
RP1
much time.
Oh,
That's
like
like-
Oh, we're not.
I heard though, I know I was talking to another girl, one of the groups who their lab leader, they hadn't got their grades yet, and she emailed her, she's like, don't worry, we'll have plenty of time to debrief in our Wednesday lab. I don't know if that's
The
just
tower
lab
building
or
is
what.
like Legos, no joke.
Really?
Yeah.
It's,
That's what I've heard.
it's very much a Bob activity.
I'm not complaining.
Okay, so what are we gonna do? We're gonna go around.
I think
and
because
say
like
how
the
to
way
do it?
I think because I feel like we didn't have very good structure, so it's hard to like say when you didn't do much because it was hard. Like no one was signed up, and we didn't have due dates, you know. Or, like you couldn't, it's not clear cut to see like people who didn't contribute or people who did or stuff like that. So I mean, just how I personally feel about it is that if someone feels like they should like give up a point or two or something, maybe they should say that, but I mean, not that anyone should feel obligated to do it. Because I feel like I don't see any like clear evidence of where people didn't contribute or contributed. I think everyone contributed in different ways. And I mean, some might have been more time consuming, but